Today we have Eda from Turkey, and we will talk about Web3, of course, and how to get a job in Web3. Of course, you can get a job in tech anyway, but we will be very specific about this topic. And as a very dear friend, we make some very good calls already. She's a Web3 enthusiast, technical writer, super active on Twitter, Twitter Spaces, whatever. So we will share also her Twitter handle. You'll see that in parentheses. Eda, how are you? How's it going?
Hi. Thank you, Francesco. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to chat more today.
Nice, nice. So I started this series, I think, 2 years and a half ago, and now I'm doing this weekly. We are close. I think we are close to 160 episodes, so we're getting close to 200. It's incredible, and this series helps me to basically know better my friends. But in the meanwhile, we can also say something useful for someone in the audience. So Eda, first of all, I would like to know from you a little bit more about you, if you want to give a little bit of background, your story, because I'm very curious. This is one of the reasons why I've been doing this for so much. Maybe it's because I'm curious, and I would like to know, I don't know, how did you get into tech? If you wanted to do this since you were a child, or maybe not. So this kind of background. We have like 1 hour max. So let's keep, because
Not that bad.
some answers are like, I was on the legs of my father coding. So okay, so that will be very very long. But joking, of course.
Yeah. I'll try and keep it short. But yes, so I can give a bit about my background. So I I got into tech with actually when I entered university. So I started with computer science. I wasn't planning to go into tech. It was like more when I started studying computer science, then I got into more developing and like, getting getting more into the tech itself. It wasn't like I wasn't planning to be a computer engineer. But yeah, so I started studying computer science, and to be honest, I didn't really like it in the start as well. I was kind of doubting maybe I should change. So I did continue. Yeah, I wasn't exactly sure until I like had my first internship where I was actually doing some coding work, because in university it's like more high level, more trying to understand. Yeah, it was just like more the physics, the math side. So I really like the more hands-on things, which I saw starting in my internship. So I started studied computer science, and then I started my first internships. And then on my last internship, it was like a very long one. I had like an 11-month internship, which then I started to work as a full-time software engineer. That's kind of like my journey into tech. It was a bit more traditional route. And then soon after, I did transition to technical sales. I got into the networking world. I was working at Cisco in technical sales. And I really enjoy technical sales because it was like you get to learn all this tech stuff and then kind of explain in simple terms like what it means, what you can do. That's really what I found like my passion was in. And I was doing that for the past 2.5 years until I learned about this Web3 space, was super excited, started my own blog. It was like a very small, just like sharing my learnings. Never actually thought I'd like work full time in the Web3 space. But yeah, I just became like increasingly excited. I was building my own projects, having like a lot of fun, like experimenting with these new technologies. And for the past 4 months, I've been working, well, 3, 4 months, I've been working full time at the Helium Foundation. And yeah, it was not too long, right? Did I make the time?
Perfect. No, perfect, Eda. Do you know that I signed up on the computer science, but I didn't like programming. I was a bit confused. So I liked math and algorithms, like not your ordinary student. But at some point, I don't know, I felt in love with coding. So here we are now. But it's nice. It's nice to hear your story. So now I'm curious about how did you get your first job in tech, or was that already in Web3 or not?
Yeah. So my first job was not in Web3. I got my first job, like I was applied for like a software engineering internship. And it was through an internship. I was actually an intern there for 11 months. And then after the 11 months, I got the offer to continue at the same place with the job. It was at GE Healthcare, where I was working on some on some analytics tools. But yeah, I think it was because it was through university, I think it was a bit more easier to apply and to go there because I directly had, the recruiters would come, you could like apply, and having like that long-term internship, it gave me a good understanding of what I was getting into. So that was like my first job into tech. And then afterwards, when I was switching, I was always on LinkedIn, just like trying to follow what the companies were doing, subscribe to all the different email lists. And yeah, just more following like jobs on LinkedIn, trying to see like where applications were open. And because I was just out of college as well, there were like a lot of these programs, like you could apply. There was like, hiring new grads kind of program. So I think that made my life a bit easier because there was like a batch of applications, which sometimes I would fit in, most times I would just like directly get rejected from. But yeah, I think that was how I entered my first role and then kind of progressed to find like my next opportunities.
Nice. And I see that you have made some changes now. So currently, can you repeat please your current position if you haven't said that already? So your current position, what is your current position?
Yes, exactly. So I could like wind back a bit just to explain like that transition as well. I
Sure.
think that's also pretty unique. I didn't expect to like transition like that. But yeah, so as I was at Cisco for 2.5 years working on the technical sales side. And before I was always like, whenever I wanted a job search, I would just like log on to LinkedIn. I don't know if there are like a lot of career fairs. I know like I had a couple of friends go to them, but for me, it was like more looking on LinkedIn at some point. But then when I heard about Web3, it's like, oh, this tech is interesting. Like, let me just kind of like try to understand. And it was very complicated for me. So I just said, okay, I'm going to like start a blog just because it's an easy way for me to keep track of my notes, like have them there. And that's actually like how I started Twitter. I had my account, but I was never like posting. It was just like to read some news and like get fast news. So I was never like on Twitter before. I didn't even think you could get a job on Twitter. But then I started my blog writing about what I was learning in Web3. It was super interesting. And then I think it was like December time when I was becoming extremely more excited. And I started to get like a couple of opportunities directly from Twitter. It was just like, oh, like I read your blog. This is very interesting. Like, would you be interested in this opportunity? Or likewise, if I saw like a role which I was interested in, I would just like message them like, hey, I saw like you have an open position. This is like something I wrote about this topic. Would you consider me? Kind of those were like what I was using Twitter for, which is very interesting to me because like I never ever imagined like having a Twitter would have that effect and having an online presence would mean that much. I don't think at all it's about like your Twitter followings or followers. I think it's more about the content you put out there. It's about, because a lot of people ask me, oh, like I don't have that many followers or that many things. I just like started a couple of months ago, and it's really about what I think. Yeah, for me, it's really about what I put out there on my blog, like what I do, how I can show my work. So yeah, and then I was a lot like writing about this technology, like sending cold emails, getting cold emails, not emails, sorry, DMs. And then like the Helium Foundation was a great match for me. And we'll get into that a bit more, but and then I got the opportunity at the Helium Foundation as a community manager / developer relations, kind of. I work on those two aspects. And yeah, it's almost been 4 months now, which is quite a long time because, it went by so fast. Like it doesn't feel like 4 months. Every day is like a wild day as well. But it has been 4 months since joining the foundation, and I'm working on the community and developer relations side for this time.
Nice, perfect. I don't know if you know that I've also started posting consistently about Web3 in December. So I feel that we are students in the same class. So basically, we started together. Maybe I started Twitter before, but I was more focused on DevOps. This doesn't mean that I don't do Docker anymore. But now I switched my content because I was honestly interested. To be honest, I started posting about this a bit after because I was a bit afraid because when you already have an audience, it's a bit different. I think in your case, it was you didn't have that problem. Maybe more like starting 4 months ago. I don't know, maybe you can get some criticism. I mean, we still get some criticism, but I think 4 months ago, I think it was worse. So maybe we are going in the right direction. I have this feeling. I don't know if you have the same feeling. Hey, Francesco. Hey, Yasha. How's it going? You guys are doing awesome. Yeah. Yes. So, Eda, I don't, probably you'll get this question often, so we can also now try to reply live. This can be a Twitter space, a live stream, but usually the DMs, the question that I receive, the most common is how can I get started as an absolute beginner? So this can be an absolute beginner of Web3, or either an absolute beginner, like, I don't know, a person who is not a developer and they want to, I don't know, just break into Web3, just so becoming a Web3 developer from another career. So can you share some tips? Because I think this can be useful, because I don't know, it's I think we have different perceptions. I don't know, should we start from zero or from the basic, or just jump on the Solidity tutorial? So there are different perspectives. So I would love to hear your point of view on this. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's a great question, and I do get it quite a lot. So when I started, I think it's almost been a year since I found out about like more interested in crypto, like not started to do anything, but like started to read a bit. And what was really effective for me is I was actually using the products before like starting to develop applications or like get into the Solidity. So like I feel like a lot of people sometimes jump into directly like crypto zombies, or like try to do a bit more complex tutorial. But I think the first thing is to start and use those products, right? Like to set up your own wallets, to kind of become a user of Web3, and then like it makes it way more clear when you want to develop applications, or yeah, like just continue on that path. So the first thing, like I do have like a couple of blog posts actually, like how to start into Web3. And I always start like number one, start by using these technologies, like start by understanding what this means, like set up a crypto wallet. You don't need to buy like an NFT worth millions of dollars, of course, like that's not a barrier to entry by any means. But you could like have a look like at these NFT marketplaces, you could see like what an exchange is, just to kind of understand what this technology can do. And then I would suggest like, okay, now you have a good understanding.
Is it correct? Is it
That
correct?
is
The
super.
name? Perfect.
Yeah. The like to how to get started in Web3. I think for me, like what was really effective is the communities, because it's so hard to learn by yourself when you have so many different new things. Like for example, in in the traditional, like when I was learning about networking or like all this cloud technologies, I could just go to Udemy, like write a course, like X solution architect course, and you would get like a lot of those courses just by like, which were very organized and had like a lot of views already, so like you would trust those courses and like go with them. But I think in Web3 there is still a bit of lack of resources. Now is way better, but when I was starting out in the summertime last year, it was like, okay, where do I go? Like, where are these resources? Are there any Udemy courses? Like, if there are, what do I even search for? So I think now we have like a lot more resources. But for me, like I've heard about Developer DAO that was forming at the time, and it was by Nader. So Nader was the one of persons which I was following a lot on Twitter, and like his content was just like massively helpful for me. That's how I like started developing. Like when I found his YouTube channel, and it's like, oh, this is so cool! Like I can build an application. So and then he started Developer DAO. I'm like, oh, okay, this sounds interesting. Like maybe I should like enter and see what this is all about. And what I saw there was like so many people coming in, like not knowing exactly where to go, where to find resources. But that was super helpful for me because I was in the same situation. So like you could understand, like you could talk with them, you could understand like the best resources, what to go for. So I think it's really important to like work with different, like be part of different communities. And there are like quite a few like learning together right now. So I'd highly suggest, I think I linked them on those blog posts as well. So like to make sure to like check out communities and start learning together. They're like really great beginner paths, intermediate paths, depending on like what stage you are at. And there's so many different ways you could go, right? Like I think if you're interested in like smart contract development, you can go that route. If you want front end, that route, or like if you want to like look on the more like data side, storage side, you can like be interested in that. There are really like a lot of different ways you can go. So I think the first thing, yeah, to like understand what it is, be part of the communities, like understand like how these Web3 community works, because it's really centered around communities. And then like start developing, like then you can kind of understand where to go, like which communities will have the most effect, like where the resources are best. So that's kind of like my suggestions.
Perfect. And now I'm very happy to have been invited you. I had a lot of doubts, but now I can say that I'm very happy because it was really a great answer, to be honest. And, congratulations. So, yes, and I say that I think at the thing Web3 developer is too broad. It's like backend developer, okay,
Yeah.
but on which technologies are you focused? That can be Node.js, Python, PHP. So, okay, generic web development, it means that you have to do with blockchain in some ways, but as you say, there are so many different jobs. Maybe we will discuss about this later. And yes, so this is amazing. And now a question that I think this is also important. Maybe this is not asked so many times, but it's important for me because usually I see that we have also a question on social media, but we will reply this later. We are used on social media to share all our success, that we have been hired at Google, that we left Google as a proud,
Yeah.
that, I don't know, we are going to speak at the conference. I'm also one of them. But okay, but the truth is that we do mistakes on social media that sometimes, I don't know, I usually I don't care, so I share them. I think it's also one of the reasons why I grown so much, because I keep sharing my mistakes, so I always something to share. But in Web3, what do you think are the mistakes that the beginners you see that they do more often? Maybe buying a millionaire NFT.
That's
Joking,
a bad one.
joking. That's already
I don't
bad.
know. Probably like I didn't do that one, but I think yeah, I definitely agree. Like so I agree with your point. Like I think we need to share the mistakes, and I've done quite a lot of those mistakes as well. So for example, like when you get into Web3, right? When I was becoming a user, and you set up your own wallet, it's like you are the one responsible for that wallet. So like if you send it to a wrong address, for example, yeah, like there are ways if your transaction didn't go through to cancel, but if it goes through, it goes through. Like you can't get it back. You don't have like this customer service which you would have in like a regular world. So I definitely like, and then there's like all these NFT projects coming up. It's like, oh, this is the next big one, like you should get this next big one. It's probably not the next big one because there's just like so many noise in the space. And when it's like a random Tuesday night at 3 a.m. and you see like a tweet, it's like, oh, this is the next big NFT. It's probably not the next big NFT. So you should definitely be careful. Like there is a lot of noise in the space. There's so many ways that I think you yeah, like so many ways you can get like connect to an application, and that application is just like pure noise, like nothing going on. Actually, you could like sign a transaction which probably you shouldn't, and takes all your funds out of your wallet. So you should be very careful as a developer or as a user of this technology as well, because it's just like not as audited, not as like controlled as you would expect. And as a developer, like what I see many mistakes is a lot with using your private keys, like a lot with using the same wallet for development. Like I would never ever recommend to use your same like wallet which has your funds for development purposes. Like it's very easy to set up a wallet, like have a different wallet for development, because it's common to push your private keys into GitHub. Like it's just like, I mean, you shouldn't, like you should definitely like not do this, but like having extra barriers for security, like don't use the same wallet, and then have a note like don't push your private keys to GitHub. So I think these are
Yes.
like some of the common mistakes. Again, I
Yes.
also think
Just
so
yeah, you can. Sorry. Go.
no problem. So again, one of the other things I see is a lot on the like everyone seems to like go to just the smart contract development route, but there's really lots more you can do. So like you could integrate with different technologies, like use them. I think Nader had a tweet the other day where he mentioned like all these, there's like these other protocols which you can experiment with as well. So you should definitely like, it's not just the smart contract development. There are like lots of different ways you can go. And yeah, these are some of the common things, I think. I hope I didn't miss anything out.
Nice. No, I just wanted to add a couple of things that because I have one friend of mine, I'm not gonna reveal his or her name, but basically they pushed the private key on GitHub that was like a bot who has
Yeah.
stolen. So it's not just someone checking your profile. There are some people who are, I don't know, doing this on purpose. There is someone who can steal that also automatically. So be super careful. It's not just about because okay, nobody's following me on GitHub. Nobody's gonna check that
Yeah.
because there are bots on that, and yes, so this is very important, of course. And yes, thank you. We have a very fast question which is related to the next one, so I'll make them together. So because of course on social media we have some mix of motivational stuff, technical stuff, technical information, content creation. I'm guilty with almost all of them, but I would like on this live stream to try to focus on which are the most important things. Otherwise, I don't know, we can keep talking. I will literally stay with hours with you in the live stream. Maybe it's better to create a series, add a series, we can call it. But which is something that you think it's really like a must, like which you think that can really make the difference when you want to get a job. For example, Bert chart is asking if a degree is needed. This can open up to hours of talking, so we will make a short version. So what do you think is something that can really make the difference when you want to get a job in tech and Web3, of course?
Yeah. I think I can only like for this time I can speak for Web3 because I think the Web2 world or traditional tech, whatever you want to
Perfect.
call it, it's a bit
Perfect.
different. But for Web3, what I can say is I didn't have my surname on, like now I do, but I didn't have my surname on Twitter. Like no one could like search and find my LinkedIn profile. Nobody knew where I worked. Nobody knew if I had a degree or not. Like I just had like my name, like Eda tweets, Eda. That was all I had on Twitter. And likewise on my Hashnote blog, I didn't have that information as well. And regardless, I was getting like different DMs to like join companies, like work, create content, etc. So no one ever asked me for my last name, for my LinkedIn profile, for if I had a degree or not, my GPA. Like that's something which no one ever asked me. I think like afterwards you do like share like your more information. I'm not anonymous. But it wasn't really like having a degree or like, you know, coming from like a fancy with a fancy GPA or something like that. It was more about what you are actually doing. Like, what are you actually building? Like, do you know like what these protocols work? Obviously, like no one can know like 100%. It's literally just being built right now. But like, what are you creating already out there? In my case, I'm more on like, I guess, the developer advocacy side. So I was creating more content related to like programming on Ethereum mainly. And you could just like follow my tutorial and see, okay, like this girl knows how to program, or like, I mean, not full baked application. It doesn't have to be perfect. But you could see like what I was already doing there. You could go to my GitHub, you could check like what I was doing. So I think it's really more like, what are you doing, which will directly impact your job? Like, what are you doing, which is directly related to the job you're looking for? I think that made a difference. So again, like I feel like I do repeat this a couple of times, but I think in Web3, if you want to get a job, you should directly start doing that job, right? Like everything is open. Like let's say you're interested in this X protocol, and then you're like looking at their documentation, you see like some kind of mistake, just make a PR request and be like, hey, you know, like I saw this request, hop onto their Discord, like share with the teams. Like they're really small teams, so they'll probably see this. Like if you notice something, or like if you use their protocol to build like a cool application, you could just be like, hey, you know, I did this. It's more like what you already did than like what you are promising to do, I think.
Nice, and I like this because maybe not all the Web3 projects are all open source, but from what I've seen, many of them, they have all the code available. For example, I don't know, if I want to work in space, I have maybe to check. And for example, I've worked in the European Space Agency, and all the repositories are private, so you can't check them before applying. You have to join, and then you have to start. Instead, for example, in Web3, it's great that you can check if you have time. You can check either, I don't know, all the Ethereum repository. You can check something. So it's great. So I like this practical approach, we can say. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of fundamentals, of course, but I think in this case, getting hands dirty, there are some concepts that you have to understand. Let's say, otherwise it's very hard to get started. You have to be very open-minded. Let's say, you need to pretend that you know nothing. For me, it worked perfectly because I know nothing for real. So yeah. So Eda, I made a poll at the beginning of the live stream, which are you looking for a job? At the beginning, we had more people saying no. Now it's switching to yes. I don't know how this is working, but we have like 75% of people that they are looking for a job. So maybe they read the title, and yes. So, which kind of tips, apart of what you already said, can we say that maybe are, let's say, also important? So I wanted to focus on the most important thing. For example, we have a question about are the structure and algorithm required for Web3 jobs, which maybe can be yes or not. It really depends, I think. I think it depends on how much time do you have. So yes. And yes, I think, I don't know if you can share your LinkedIn profile. I think it's public now. And yes, no, I'll find it. Yes. Perfect. Okay, so yes, Eda. And by the way, soon we will also get some questions, so feel free to drop them. And yes, Eda.
Yeah, for sure. So like, I think also touching on the data structures and algorithms, like when I was interviewing a lot for like traditional tech, like more the Web2 companies, I always had like these coding exams. Like they would send you, you had a limited time. And there were like, I don't remember the sites right now, but like the sites you would go to practice, there had like a tool set of like different questions which they would give you. So that wasn't the case in Web3 at all, at least in my case. Obviously, you do need to know your fundamentals. Like I don't think anyone would, well, there is like still an interview process, right? I'm not saying that you don't need to know them, but I think it's more about what you already built, like instead of having like a coding test. So in the other Web2 companies, it's generally like showing that you know with your coding test. But I feel like in Web3, it's like more sharing your GitHub profile and showing the applications which you already built out there. And back to your point, right? I think open source is like the ethos of the space as well, like to have like more open and public information, like public code repositories and information. Obviously, not everything is open. I'm not saying that. But because that is the case, you could like take some of that and like make adjustments, like build applications on top. I wouldn't say like there's a very structured way to enter as well, which makes it pretty hard and scary. I think it's more like, to build applications, which protocols you're interested in, have them on your GitHub. I'm talking specifically for developers. Have them on your GitHub, like it, or if you're a technical writer, like write them on your blog, write them on different platforms, and then apply, like just send a DM. And when I mean apply, like not through LinkedIn, but like go to the protocol on Twitter, like find the team, and then just send a DM, like, hey, I built this. Do you want to have a chat? And then it's going to be more about the application you build, like the tech you use there, I think, rather than having a more, make a like an array kind of question. It's not going to be like that kind of more high, like thinking about a scenario and writing something, but it's going to be more hands-on, in my opinion.
Nice. And we also got a compliment. Eda and Francesco, you're doing an amazing job. Of course, she is doing an amazing job. I'm doing nothing. But
questions are really good.
Nice. Now, I don't know if you can reply to this, which is best Web3 projects to put in your resume. What do you think?
So I did. There were a couple of projects which I'm really happy to have completed that they really taught me a lot. Again, like I'm not a full stack developer as well. Like I'm more on the developer advocacy side. So I don't want to give this disclaimer. Obviously, like depending on the developer roles, it's going to require different experiences. But with that disclaimer, I could try and answer this question. So there were a couple of places where I learned a lot, and one of them, as we mentioned, Nader's YouTube. I think there's just so many great content to follow and build applications. You could build like a subgraph, like use the graph protocol. He also has tutorials with like Radical, and I just watched this one with Lens protocol. So there are like so many different projects you could like have a reference from over there. I did a couple of build space projects to start. They were like super helpful. I would definitely recommend build space. And the third, last but not least, is to speed run Ethereum. So speed run Ethereum is a
It's on
curriculum
my
by
to-do
Austin.
list. It's on my to-do list that I promise that I'll do
Yeah.
this, but I want to do this live stream. So I'm preparing some stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, speedrun Ethereum is really amazing, and so it goes beyond the Hello World projects as well, right? Like doing a Hello World probably won't get you so far. You do need to like add more stuff, extend that project. So speedrun Ethereum, you have I think like 5 or 6 different challenges, and it does require a bit of like previous JavaScript knowledge, or yeah, just having some experience building more applications. But I would definitely like recommend to do those challenges. Like you go even like build a multi-sig. I think the multi-sig was definitely like a very aha moment. Like you have so many of these, oh, like this is why you would program with Ethereum and not like do it the traditional way. Like it shows you like the special power of using smart contracts and like what you can actually do with them. So I would definitely recommend to like speedrun Ethereum. It's a completely free curriculum by Austin Griffiths. And it uses this tool set called Scaffold ETH, which him and the team built out. It's like a starter package for building Web3 applications. And yeah, I would definitely like recommend those resources.
Nice. By the way, I met Austin Griffith in a call of Third Web. I joined because someone invited me in a private recording, and Austin Griffith was there. So I met him there, like in a call. So I just said like thing because we follow each other, but we have not interacted much. Probably meet him somewhere. By the way, I'll be in Ethereum New York in at the end of June. So let's see.
That's super exciting. Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, nice. Maybe we can try to get because I wanted to reply to Haxana because maybe I've been waiting for a while, and I think this is not just related to Web3, but let's get this question in the social media game, we can call it, because it's not just about that. Because for example, I see that he's really struggling because it's like really focused on this number 109. Probably you're also dreaming or having nightmares about this number, but like why I'm not growing consistently, I don't know, because I don't know your account. From what I read from this, maybe you are just focused on the number of followers, but refreshing your account doesn't give you more followers. I can say you that it's hard, especially at the beginning. I think you made at least the hardest step, which is to reach 100 followers. I think it's the hardest step. I don't know because I don't see your Twitter account. And now I'm reviewing Twitter profiles. I can also do this as a job, but already now I need to stop. But so how can our social media help us to find a job in Web3?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I really don't think it's about the follower count or like how many followers you have. It's more about like what you are doing, like what you are putting out there. Like, is it actual content, or because sometimes, yeah, like you could have a lot of followers or like, but it could be from a different domain, right? So it could be like from another domain, so you could switch and you will have those followers. I think like what's important is what kind of content you're putting out there. Like, are you learning? Like, are you sharing your learnings? To your point, like you mentioned before, like it's important to share your mistakes as well as like your learnings and like your successful moments as well. So like, are you like creating like more content for, I think it's more for yourself. Like, is it useful content which you are also learning from and sharing that? I really don't think it's about the follower count. I can't deny that having like a large follower base, it does give you access. Maybe it does like, give you access to like more people. But again, like I wouldn't say like it's the follower count, like 100, 200, it's not that number over there. But what you're putting out there, it kind of comes organically, in my opinion. Instead of focusing on that, I would like definitely recommend to focus on putting more content, like trying different things, right? Trial and error is really magical. Like just try stuff. It gives you like even more opportunity to try and test, like to see like, oh, okay, like this works. This is something which is actually working. Like use that feedback loop. And yeah, like that would be my advice. Like it's not the follower count. It's like more, what are you putting out there?
Nice, nice. And if you want, I can repeat this other two times because I think it's never enough. So I'll literally say this that it's not important. From my perspective, not having a huge amount of followers can also be your advantage because you are more focused on what you really want to follow. Because, for example, for me now it's a mess because I receive 500 DMs
Yeah.
per day, people who are asking something on different platforms. So basically, it's like another job for me. When I just got started with Twitter, I remember now, I feel old now, but when I remember, I had like, I don't know, just 100 people following me. I was following 100 people, and it was easier because I had literally just the connections that I really wanted to. I was more focused. So use this now because once you reach some hundreds or maybe 11 thousands of followers, it becomes harder. And spoiler, it doesn't become easier. It always becomes harder the more you grow. But it's more, I think it's not just focusing on the growth, but it's focusing on, if you provide content, people will follow you. That's a very simple rule. We have many questions about money. So life, money is not everything in life, but maybe people are asking about how much a fresher can expect a salary in a Web3 company, or what are the average salaries for experienced developers. So I don't know if you, I think at Google can give a better answer, but maybe from your experience, which are your your thoughts?
Yeah, so I definitely think Google can give a better answer on this. I don't know the exact like salaries. Like there's just too many, like I can't give a number of any salary expectation. I think yeah, asking Google is like a better way. But what I could say is I think so one thing is what I see in the Web3 space is like most people are like excited for working on the technology, and I don't see like a 9 to 5. It's really like more than like a 9 to 5. So like, are you really interested in this? Like be sure to like I wouldn't suggest anyone to move in for the money and like the opportunities you can make there. It's I think it is attractive because we're experimenting with new technologies, but at the same time it does require a lot of effort from your end. So yeah, like if you're genuinely interested, if you think like this is, if you're having fun building with this technology, a disclaimer is that it's not 9 to 5. I don't know, yeah, a single person who's like, okay, closing my PC, not doing this. Like we're on here on the weekend talking, like
Not
it's
remotely
not,
in an office.
yeah, yeah. So it's I think people like
I'm a
I
single
genuinely
person.
like to talk about this and like research Web3 on my free time as well. So yeah, I would suggest like of course to like Google to see like make sure it meets your expectations. Um, but yeah, like it's not like I think the salary aspect, it's more about like not just the monetary incentives, but it's really like fulfilling to work on this technology for me.
Yes, and of course, I also don't say numbers because I think that there are sites with are way more updates. Maybe I
Yeah.
just can add something that which is like don't undersell yourself because
Yeah.
they are in a high demand, so there is no reason to undersell yourself. Maybe, in my opinion, it's better maybe to wait 1 or 2 more months while you are learning and then aim for a way better salary. I don't know if this can. Of course, this is a generic tip. Don't do exactly what I
Too much,
say. I
exactly.
wish people do exactly what I say, but maybe think twice before just accepting a job just because it's cool, because maybe it can be even better in the future. So maybe think about this before just accepting
Yeah.
blindly, and always negotiate your salary. By the way,
Yeah. I
yeah,
just
recruiter. Yeah, sorry, go.
I just want to second that. Like, that's such an important point. Like, really, there is high demand. So, like, make sure, like, to get what you want and like to have that agreement. You could like spend, as you mentioned, right, a month more, building like a lot more applications, having like a better portfolio, like more, yeah, more confidence in like what you're building. So I cannot like second that enough. Like, that was a great addition.
Nice, nice. We have a question by Udai. I don't know if you know each other, but I love
From
you
Twitter
both.
Spaces.
I love both of you. What's your advice for people looking for technical writing gigs in Web3? In the meanwhile, I'll share your blog again.
I would 100% back to my point, like just write an article about what you're interested in
She
about
always writes an
Web3.
article. It's amazing.
Yeah. I cannot like stress enough how much I focus on like writing article. It doesn't have to be an article too, right? It could be a Twitter thread. It could be like I find like articles like more sustainable for the long term, like for the like uh, or maybe I write a lot in that one piece. I can't fit it in a Twitter thread sometimes. But just like start to write, especially for technical writing, like that would 100% be my advice. Write whatever you're interested in, continue writing, share it with the protocols, with the teams you want to apply for, and you already have your portfolio over there. So yeah, just start writing.
Yes, Call of Programming is asking about the Nader's Lens protocol video. I don't know if you know where is that one. I tried to Google,
I
but I
saw
don't
it
know
on
exactly.
Twitter. I think on Twitter that could be like I remember I watched it on Twitter maybe.
Good luck because Nader tweets a lot, so you have to scroll probably a while.
Yeah, I'm
But
gonna get that link.
I think you'll find it. Maybe there is some
Oh,
options like you put another debit and then the tag. It's a wow.
okay, I found it.
She's
I
amazing,
think
super fast, super fast. She's a real developer. Great at googling stuff, way better than me for sure. So yes, nice. Okay, so this should be the link. Perfect, perfect. That's what I'm doing. Good luck, you die. And the time is literally flying. We're already at 40 minutes. I don't know how this is possible, so we need to go fast because I want to do the space in about 1 hour. It's crazy, but this is what I deserve for wanting to do so many Twitter spaces. So can you list the highest in demand Web3 jobs? Because as we said before, Web3 is not just a single job. Like what work do you do Web3 is not that. Should be more specific. So which are in your you think that are like the best one or some of them?
so you mean like companies or job roles?
Types which types of jobs can we like list or maybe talk about?
Okay. So I definitely do think it is like in the builder stages. So if you are a developer, which I think most people listening probably are a bit more on the developer side, huge advantage because yeah, it's just being like the tech, like we don't have the applications there today, right? So like there's a need of a lot of developers. I do see like, yeah, so like I don't know about the different yeah, like how many developers are entering the space or like the counts, the statistics, etc. But I see a lot of people hiring for developers, smart contract developers, auditors, security auditors are like such a high demanded role right now. And again, like to Udai's point as well, technical writers, I think we definitely need like lots more technical writers. I see those kind of roles. Um, so they are more like on the developer side. So obviously, like being a developer in such an early stage is a huge advantage. But with that, there's also like other roles. I think like a lot on the growth and partnerships, those kind of areas as well. I do see like a lot of companies hiring. Like I don't want to give like wrong messages, but I try to share them, like retweet those people on Twitter as well. So there's definitely like a couple of companies that are hiring during this time as well. And being a developer, like a great position.
Nice, great. And now had I think the hardest question of this race stream. Are you ready? So the
I don't
question
know.
is the question the question. I'm doing this anyway. It was a rhetorical question. What do you think will be the future of Web3? So people can come in like 2 years and give some very bad comments. Like this is to be totally different.
Oh
So
no.
now you need to
This is
predict.
regarded. Yeah, it's always I'm not like I'm better at writing, right? Like this is talking is like my secondary
Prediction
thing.
is not my niche leader, so I'm trying to help.
Yeah. So what I think Web3 will be in the future. So I could just like what I could say is why I entered Web3 is obviously like I'm full-time working in the space. I was already interested. I'm like fully dedicated and like I'm interested to see how it will create new applications, create new ways we interact with people online. I see great advantages of using this kind of technology. And I'm like a firm believer that it will replace some applications the way we are doing it today. That being said, I don't think like it's gonna like completely remove all the Web2 things. I definitely don't think that's the case. I do think they will coexist. There's just going to be like more applications which the technology is better suited for. So Web3, it's just the superpower to coordinate economic activity, and you can do this online, and you can create like lots of new ways to interact with creators, right? I think the creator economy is a huge topic. So I hope to see like lots more applications, lots more people using it. Right now, it is like a bit more, user is responsible. It's not working perfect. There is like a lot of noise, so it's hard for like non-technical people to get in to start. But once those kind of issues are solved, a bit more like education and UX issues, I think both of them, once they are solved, like we will see like more applications which benefit the creators, which benefit the users. And again, right, like coexist. I don't see this as a replacement. I just see that there are a lot of cases where we can use this technology and provide better experience to users.
Nice. Perfect. I think that at least for sure something to say that it's true. And about the use case, I agree. For example, we still use portfolio or it's like Web1. So it depends on the use case. For example, this is a very simple example. That's something that static pages can still work for some specific use case. It doesn't have to be bad. It depends on what you want to do with them. Yes, there is. Web3 will still be early. Yeah. And this is funny because I get some DMs like, Francesco, is it too late to start with Web3? I get this kind of DMs too late. We're still at least let's reach Solidity 1.0 before saying that it's too late. We're still at 0.8 dot something. So it's we still have some time for sure. But like, yes.
Yeah.
So and now a very easy question after this very hard one. So where can we find you on social media? Where are you more active? So now this is I hope easier. I don't know, but I hope this is the link. Okay.
I'm glad for the easy question. I'm on Twitter. Like I have my links on Twitter as well. I think Twitter and my blog is the only two places like I post, and I can see the link over there as well. I go by Eda Tweets, and like I'm always there.
Perfect. I also put in description the link of her Ashnode blog, and I've also added the LinkedIn one since someone asked for that. I think we are done. I have the very last question, which is when will we see you active on YouTube and some videos? Because you are great. You are great at the live streams. I think you should do more. But this is just my personal opinion, and then we can start to close.
Yeah, YouTube is I'm getting in like more with the live streams. I haven't like created any tutorials or anything like that. Like before, I'm working on some projects which I'm very excited for, and that's going to be announced soon as well. So you'll definitely see like more on YouTube with that. But besides that, I'm thinking a lot about YouTube. Like I may or may not, like it depends. I cannot like answer. But for now, writing is my preferred method, and I do have like 2 very exciting blogs on the way. Like I could add those.
Nice, and I think that you are going you are taking a very great path once you'll decide, because I'm sure that you will start, you will have a lot of content to share, to create, you are creating all the scripts, so it's you are preparing for something huge. I'm making these predictions. I want to make these predictions. So yes, and of course the only thing is that it takes time, especially at the beginning, for videos. Yes, so Yuda is also fun. He's also trying to create more videos. So yes, it's hard. It takes something. Eda, let's give a final message maybe for who would like to get started with Web3. Thank you so much. Enjoyed this. I've been waiting for this live stream for too long, because we have created this like 3 weeks ago. So I've been like, when is the live stream with Eda? Like I was counting down the days. So yes, Eda, let's give a final message, and then we will close it for today.
Yeah, I guess my final message is, so when I was first entering the space, I stayed away quite a long time. Like it's only been 1 year since I like got more into crypto and like Web3. And it always seemed like a very black box, like so confusing, so many different things going on. But when you take it day by day, like when you just break it down, start from, one place, it was really shocking to me. Like, I was like, why didn't I learn about this before? So I would just say, say you don't have to love it or like work full time, but just like try understand like what's going on. I definitely feel that it's important and not to be afraid of like yeah, like not to be distracted with a lot of noise. Just start like depending on where you are. Like first of all, just set up a crypto wallet, like just try and understand. If you're already a Web2 developer, go and speedrun Ethereum, like build applications, and don't like jump full time directly in, right? Like learn what you're getting into. But yeah, like just don't stay away because of the negative message, I would say.
Yes, I love this, and I can say that I was trying to think, but I don't know a single person who has tried Web3 and say, okay, so I don't like it at all. Maybe maybe
Yeah,
someone exists, but it's not for sure. It's not the majority of the people because usually people are enthusiasts. It's just another part of the web. It will be soon integrated. I'm waiting for the moment when we will stop. I'm saying this doing in a Web3 live stream, but I would love when we will just stop just saying Web3 and we will just, I don't know,
yeah,
talking about the single technologies. I'm waiting for that. In the meanwhile, of course, we get these live streams because now we are in the very early stage. At some point,
yeah,
we'll just talk about the what we want to build. And say, okay, so let's use the blockchain for this use case. So we'll stop because but I feel that we need now, it is May 2022, that to talk about this, let's say, transition, but it's like a very slow transition. It's not something that happens like in one day everybody's working on the blockchain when they are just deleting all the databases. Of course, it should be for sure as a process. Chris, you are late. Hey there,
yeah.
Chris is a good friend of mine. Yes. So, Eda, we are done for today. Thank you so much. You really made my day with this live stream. You have answered even to the hardest questions. So I tried to make you a little bit embarrassed, but I couldn't manage. So I'm happy. And yes, perfect. Follow
Yeah,
her, of
thank you
course,
so much for
everywhere.
having me.
Perfect.
Yeah,
We
it
did
was
it.
great to chat. Yeah.
Nice. Perfect. Okay. Bye everyone, and see you
Bye, everyone.
on the next, yeah, yes, on the next week. I should release the recording with Maximilian Schwarzmuller. I think many of you know him because he made many courses. He's still not in Web3, but I think at some point, I don't know, he released like a huge Solidity course. I'm waiting for that. I've tried to ask, but let's see. Okay. Eda, we are done. Have a nice day. Have a nice weekend. We are done. I hope this is not the last call that we'll make for sure. And yes, let's
For
keep
sure,
going.
like after the Web3, we need to do the future of Web3, what happened.
Perfect. 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 Bye bye. Better late than
Bye
never.
bye.
You are right. You are right, Chris. Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye,
Bye
everyone.
bye. Bye bye, everyone.